haunt house on the forgotten island. Real horror story. Far out in the Arabian Sea, there lay a forgotten island, an island so old that even the local fishermen avoided speaking its name. Maps still showed it, but no one had sailed near it for decades. The island was surrounded by sharp black rocks and strangely calm water, as if the sea itself feared disturbing whatever lived there. On this lonely patch of land stood an abandoned wooden house, falling apart and nearly swallowed by creeping vines. People whispered that anyone who entered that house never came back. Rehan, a young documentary filmmaker known for exploring true paranormal places, became obsessed with the stories about this island. He heard rumors of people disappearing, old search parties vanishing without a trace, and a family that once lived inside that house but was wiped from existence in a single night. Rehan didn't believe in ghosts, but he believed in mysteries, and this was a mystery no one else dared to touch. When he arrived at the coastal village nearest to the island, the old fishermen refused to look him in the eye. One of them, a man with trembling hands, quietly warned him that the island was cursed. "You won't hear them coming," the old man said, "but they'll hear you. They always hear you." Rehan shrugged it off, assuming it was just local superstition meant to scare outsiders. But the way the man's voice cracked made a chill run down his spine. He hired a small boat and set off early in the morning. As the island came into view, a thick blanket of fog rolled over the sea like a living thing. The water around the island was unusually still. Not a single wave touched the sand. Rehan stepped onto the shore, Kamera, Inan, feeling an unnatural coldness crawl up his legs, as if the island itself breathed icy air. He tried to speak into the camera, but his voice echoed strangely, as if repeating from a direction behind him. The house stood only a short walk from the beach. Up close, it looked even more decayed than he expected. Its wooden walls were scratched, not by weather or time, but by long, deep marks, as if something with claws had desperately tried to break out. The windows were shattered, yet no glass lay on the ground. It looked as though the shards had disappeared long ago, leaving only empty black holes that stared back at him. Rehan pushed open the front door. It creaked as if screaming, and a wave of rot-filled air spilled out. Inside, the house was unnaturally dark. No matter how bright his flashlight was, the shadows seemed thicker than normal, clinging to the walls and swallowing the light. As he moved deeper inside, the air grew colder and heavier. He could hear faint whispers, like distant voices arguing in another room. But every time he stood still, the whispers stopped. He found old furniture flipped upside down, children's drawings carved into the walls, and long trails of what looked like dried seaweed scattered across the floor. His camera recorded everything. Tug, Edidanti, noticed that in every frame, a faint figure stood behind him, sometimes close, sometimes for its shape warped like smoke. Upstairs, he entered a room that looked like a children's bedroom. A dusty crib sat in the corner. As soon as Rehan walked near it, the temperature plunged so sharply that he could see his own breath. Something shifted behind him, quick and quiet. He spun around, but saw nothing except shadows moving along the walls like liquid. Suddenly, the crib began to rock on its own, slowly at first, then violently. A sharp cry, like that of an infant, echoed through the room. Even though the crib was empty, Rehan ran out of the room, panic racing through his veins. The hallway seemed longer than before. The doors he had passed earlier were now closed. He tried to open one, but the knob burned his hand. The whispers returned this time louder, surrounding him from all sides. It felt like dozens of unseen figures circled him, their breath cold against his skin. He stumbled down the stairs and into the living room, only to find that the front door was no longer where it had been. The layout of the house had changed. The walls shifted silently, as if the house rearranged itself to trap him. He tried to remain calm and whispered to himself that there had to be a logical explanation. But then he heard footsteps coming from behind him, slow, heavy, dragging footsteps. He turned on his camera's night vision. The screen flickered. A tall, thin figure appeared at the end of the hall. It had no face, no eyes, just a black, twisted shape, like something drowned and half decayed. Its body swayed unnaturally, as though struggling to stand upright after years beneath the water. Rehan, Frosi. The figure tilted its head, studying him. Denit Moved. The house began to shake violently. Doors slammed, windows shattered inward, and the whispers turned into screams. Rehan ran. Only to find it sealed by thick black seaweed that pulsed as if alive. His camera recorded every second, capturing the creature closing in on him. He tried to plead, tried to scream, but his voice disappeared, swallowed by the same darkness that engulfed the island. The next morning, the fisherman found the boat drifting near the shore. Rehan's equipment was inside, but he wasn't. His camera, however, was still recording. The final frame showed the abandoned house across the water and a small silhouette standing in the window, watching, waiting. No one has dared visit the island since.